Hey guys, Captain Flair here, and today we're talking about the history, quality, and legacy of Shovel Knight.
Oh my god, did you just say Shovel Knight?
Who the
I know, right? It's like the best game ever.
Get the fuck out!
I will watch you from the windows.
Shovel Knight. Every year since 2010 there's been an indie darling. 10 had Super Meat Boy, 11 had Bastion, 12 Hotline Miami, 13 Rogue Legacy, and 2014 had Shovel Knight. The thing that links them all together is that they all get a lot of hype and a lot of praise. Some deserve it, some don't. Here's one that doesn't. Though, that's not really an insult. Shovel Knight is often hailed as a masterpiece. It's not. I'm sorry, but it's not. I'm not saying it's bad. I'll acknowledge all the things it did well in a bit, but that doesn't mean I'll let the fun I had with it blind me to its flaws. It's a good game, just not, well, this. Before I give you a lecture on game design, I'd like to touch on the presentation. For the most part, it's fucking wonderful. The music is consistently amazing and the graphics are beautiful. I'm surprised they didn't go for the whole crappy aesthetic. This is retro and good. This isn't retro, it's just shit. Now on to the story. While it's not entirely needed, I do want to comment on it. I'm not sure if at first it was made to have a complete story, as there are a few beats that I found genuinely good, but also a few that I found very underwhelming. I think Shovel Knight was intended to have a fleshed out world, but due to time constraints it was cut. I'll give two examples of great storytelling. Spoilers, by the way. 1. The dream sequences. After the end of each level, to make the journey seem more significant, I guess, Shovel Knight was shown taking a sleep by a fireplace, and after every few levels, Shovel Knight will have a dream about catching Shield Knight. This then appears again near the end after she's been freed from the Enchantress. This shows that, to Shovel Knight, this moment wasn't only a possibility, but an inevitability. However, to Shield Knight, this was only, wait for it, a dream, as when Shovel Knight catches her, her reaction is surprise. This is a subtle way of not only enforcing Shovel Knight's love for her, but as well as her broken spirit after being lapised with the Enchantress for so long, as well as Shovel Knight seemingly abandoning her. And remember, it does all this without explicitly stating anything, and only showing this with a minigame and a line of dialogue. This also begins to show their reliance on each other, with Shovel Knight finally being able to fulfill what he deems his duty, and Shovel Knight being able to feel safe after being trapped with the Enchantress. And this is also shown in the gameplay, as neither of them are able to defeat her alone, both of them working together to defeat the boss. Oh woo? What's this? Story themes being told through gameplay using show instead of tell, the damsel trope being able to show male and female emotional and physical codependence, effective reincorporation, catching me off guard by showing me how repetition makes things mundane, then punching me in the face with an emotional moment, getting me to care about pixel tits. What? The second beat I'd like to touch on is one from one of the knights. This uses the Sonic Adventure 2 plot of thinking two people are the same, but instead of here we have a picture of Shadow, and here we have a picture of Shadow, and here we only knowledge is through folklore and rumours of a knight using an oddly specific weapon. This shows both the commonality of travelling knights, but also subtly reinforcing the threat that the Order of No Quarter presents. Now this could have been put to great effect if it was put alongside other kinds of proof, like the townsfolk. Yeah, the town guard bars you from entering, and there is a boss fight dedicated to the idea of them defending their town from the Plague Knight campaign. But there's never much talk of it from the townsfolk, and it could have been implemented in other forms of dialogue. For example, the people who sell you items could reluctantly wish you good luck, or the guy that wants to know if you're the real deal could comment on now how he finally has hope. Maybe the town guard could comment on how hard things are getting, because most of the town there is just set decorating. This way, when they help Shovel Knight with a catapult at the end of the game and when there are cheers of hope, it would feel way more meaningful as the game makes it seem like the townfolk actually care. Like, sure, the town's been surrounded, there's no hope, the kingdom's been taken over, but I'm still cool just flirting with this 4-foot blue guy in a helmet. NPCs can be more than just mechanical gain, jokes and set dressing. They're the people that live and breathe this world, and having them just not give a shit turns this nightmarish force of evil into a Saturday morning cartoon. Cucking Mario was able to do this, as when you talk to the admittedly one-dimensional Toads, they at least give a damn that they're leading political figures, Gore. Come to think of it, the Mushroom Kingdom is constantly in the hands of these incompetent fucks. How hasn't their economy crashed? Scratch that, their economy has crashed. How many coins are there? We're way past hyperinflation at this point. What I'm asking is how did the Mushroom Kingdom manage to get in a position worse than the UK? Why is a life only 100 coins? Is life in the Mushroom Kingdom so dark and depressing that life is this worthless to them at this point? That's what I want from Shovel Knight. They can make a cool, sometimes wacky fantasy world, but I still want to feel this threat constantly looming over me. Give me some goddamn ambience! Shovel Knight tries to have it both ways. Either drop the pretense and focus more on the humour and story, or have a fun yet still interesting world a la Portal. Or, as I said, they can make the dystopian nightmare a la Mario. Financial crisis? I have the answer! Well, yeah, there were nuggets of great storytelling here. It ultimately feels like they were just tossed aside, which is kinda a shame. Although the game is clearly hanging on its gameplay, so I just spent 5 paragraphs on nothing. Shit. Anyway, hi to everyone who skipped ahead, but before I talk about the main issues with the gameplay, I'd like to give you a quick lesson on game design, because I think the problems are in a different level of game design than you might think. Typically in game design, I like to think that there are 4 different levels: primary features, secondary features, auxiliary features, and gimmicks. Which level do you think the flaws will be on? Well, let's find out. Primary features are a game's bread and butter, so to speak. These are most of what fits into the minimum viable product. For example, I'll just take Team Fortress. The soldier can walk, strafe, jump, crouch, shoot rockets, shoot guns, and shoot shovels. Add some basic terrain and you have the base game. It would be best to build this up as much as possible here through combos, but it's often better to export things to the secondary level to keep a higher skill floor, yet still a low level of accessibility. So what do we do with the first layer? Well, just polish the heck out of it. Make sure that it doesn't clash at all, make sure it feels good in general, and make sure it's consistent. And finally, make sure it's never frustrating. Unless that's the point. But I'm not fishing yet, so you can get that can of worms away from me. Go. Thank you. So, how does Shovel Knight stack up in this category? Pretty good. He runs at a perfect speed without the need of a run button. It strikes the perfect spot Mega Man hit between slow enough to do tough platforming segments, yet fast enough to make it fun to run through the world at a brisk pace. His jump is just right. His low jump is about low enough, and his high jump is pretty high. His shovel feels slow, making it super satisfying to land strikes without sacrificing responsiveness. To be honest, his items could fit anywhere from a primary mechanic to a gimmick. It's pretty hard to argue the coin does anything meaningful, and there's a legitimate point to be made that the phase locket is as crucial to the base game as the shovel. So I'll mention it here for now. I think it's important to say that I've played this game on the DS, keyboard, and Xbox One controller. I find it weird you had to press up, but you can just map it to a button anyway, so it really wasn't much of a problem. And why this wasn't done by default is really confusing to me. But if I can be a game reviewer for a second, I'd say that the 3DS version is the definitive version. Back when Smash 3DS was released, everyone had problems with the directions being misjudged. However, strangely enough, I never found this problem in Shovel Knight. In fact, I did find it in the Xbox One version. So take of that what you will. Not to mention it's portable and the smaller size really fits the graphics, so go play the 3DS version. Huzzah! Not sponsored by Nintendo, by the way! Secondary design is made to channel the primary game design in the right direction. It gets your combat and gives it an objective. Anything that takes the initial design and forces you to use it properly fits into this category. So is the problem with secondary design? No, in fact, a lot of the secondary design in this game is great. Fantastic even. The basic knights in the level are a great example of this. They take the concept of movement while going from pogo to pogo, using items and jumping while using the shovel to keep your momentum going, in tons of different ways. These were always the best part of the combat system. There were also a lot of points where they tested your pogoing next to the dreaded bottomless pits. Auxiliary design is anything that adds on to the core gameplay. It's different from secondary design as instead of aiming it in a good direction, it just adds more. Though some games try to depend way too much on these without having good mechanics. So is this where the design falls apart? Still no. Well, it can just waste your time, leading to the equivalent of a popped bubble of satisfaction, spending your money on a useless weapon. It's ultimately not much of a problem. So now we come to the real subject of this stupidly long segment. The gimmicks. Now, normally, gimmicks add little to nothing to a game. Typically, they're temporary changes, little surprises, or throwaway sections. That's the correct use of them. What's the incorrect use of them? Having them overshadow almost the entire level! Which brings me to my main issue with the levels. As I mentioned before, Shovel Knight's core gameplay is amazing, but it's ruined by the fact that the devs couldn't stop pressing the add shit button. Spectre Knight stage starts off quite well, these frogs have unique patterns and can be hard to kill, these clovers are neat, but then you get to this. This doesn't add to the platforming, it just makes it harder. No, not even. It makes it longer. Because unless you just sit here or if you take your eyes off the platforms, you die. And if you do, guess what? Shovel Knight still has its best mechanic up its sleeve. Collecting money, except I think they purposefully coded this to end up in the most ridiculous places. Seriously, it was fucking impossible at times. And when combined with these gimmicks, this mechanic can go fuck itself. This perpetuates through the entire game. Whenever you want to get through just a normal platforming segment, it throws gimmicks at you. Straight platforming is almost never an option, as it's always altering your controls or just moving you around. There's an amazing game here, it's just hidden under shit. Imagine if TF2 was only flat ground with choke points. It would be a really unfun game. The game design would still be great, but you wouldn't be able to appreciate it as the map would ruin it. That's what Shovel Knight is like. Whenever you think you're having fun, we either have to face gimmicks or... well, you need to go gold hunting. If you want to get the full experience of the game, you'll need gold. Lots of it. And to get lots of it, this requires that you go off the path and waste your time doing other things. And the more you play the game, the more you start to realise, this is padding. So much time in Shovel Knight is spent messing around off course. If this game was just a screen-to-screen gauntlet that uses constantly interesting challenges, its art to make an interesting world and challenges about perfecting its mechanics, it would have a formula for one of the best games of all I'm asking this game to be Dark Souls, aren't I? Well, I can't help it. That's just what Shovel Knight excels at. It wouldn't make a good exploration game, as its looting isn't fun and its hidden parts are obvious. And its Souls-like mechanics and graphics are tuned to near perfection. That's the goldmine Shovel Knight is trying to strike at, and it's missing.
Hey guys, so it's me from the editing stage here. So one thing I noticed while playing it again is just that this game's difficulty is retarded. Like, I didn't mention this in the actual review, but this game's difficulty is stupid. On the normal run, I found it way too easy the entire time, and then on the New Game Plus run, they make it more difficult, not through clever level design. They just take away your health packs and make everything do more damage, so you're just whittled down the entire stage instead of anything actually difficult. That was just something I wanted to bring up.
Not to mention, most of the best parts of the game, the parts where it's all about movement, can be skipped using the phase locket. This fucking item. Whose idea was it to put an item in this game that literally lets you bypass the most fun parts of it? Not to mention that most of the bosses follow the same pattern. Pogo a few times, whack them with a shovel, or run. That's it. Also, is it just me, or do these levels go on for way too long? Seriously, if the levels want to be self-contained challenges, they can do that. If they want to be long gauntlets, they can do that. But this half-assed attempt at both fails. Now, despite the fact that I've spent the last whatever minutes discussing the shortcomings of this game, I don't want to give off the impression that I dislike Shovel Knight. I simply feel like it was too confused and didn't know what it wanted to do with its mechanics. It has way too much filler content in the way. This game is like being able to bang Megan Fox, but every 2 minutes, you have to watch her act. Pro Jared once likened Sonic Adventure 2 to a cereal with marshmallows in it. People like the marshmallows, so they'll put up with the bad parts, even ignore them. Do I hate Shovel Knight? No, it's a really good game. But overall, yeah, I'd say it's very overrated.
Flair for the crime of not liking the greatest game of all time.
Who the fuck are you?
We are the League of Critics, and you are not one of us.
Can I join them?
Prove thee is worthy.
In my top 10 favourite games, literally half of them are either walking simulators or visual novels.
We need more pretentiousness.
Bennett Foddyer's art. Hey. So you may be thinking, Flair, what the fucking fuck? So I will answer all of your questions now. One, yes, this is a Halloween special, which is why I've dressed up as the scariest thing imaginable, a gay person. So if you're wondering what this video was, not even I know. It was supposed to be a critique of Shovel Knight, but it also ended up as the pilot for the Flair cinematic universe, or whatever. So this is what I intend to do from now on, that sort of longer form critiques and analyses of games. I'm also a fat contrarian, so expect to have your opinions challenged. So I guess this is what we're gonna be doing now. I'd also like to thank a few people. 1, my fucking self for being amazing. 2, HoloFX for appearing in this video. He was the voice of pretentious guy, or whatever the hell the comment section decides to name him. Give me a name for that guy if you can be bothered. Yeah, I'm on Twitch now, so go that way to my Twitch. The links to that will be in the description as well. Yeah, we're going to be streaming at different points in time. See you there.